Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? How's that sound? So, for those of you who can read lips, what I was saying was, I'm not sure if I'm using the right microphone. I'm going to say confirmed. So, yeah. I wish I'd let you change I said, I forgot to check which microphone I was using. So I bounce back and forth between these two headsets. This is definitely a better microphone, but this is wireless. So like if I'm walking around the house, talking with my boy Ricky or Matt, and I'm just like doing something while I do it, I use this microphone for like better audio and microphone. This one here. Oh man. So how's everyone doing? Sorry, I'm getting my routine. I just got I'm not gonna go through this whole ordeal about my fantastic hair again. I got one of those inflatable jacuzzis I set up, but yeah. So I start my new job tomorrow, and I was gonna make a video talking about like first week expectations, but I don't make videos anymore. That's not true. I'm just not making videos right now. I actually was gonna make it I was talking with Scrimba to make a course on ES 2020, and problem is their platform's not updated to use it quite yet, and so that course will probably come down the pipeline a little bit later. But one second. I take one of these bad boys every day. Not necessarily this brand, but an immunity shot. Gotta stay healthy. This ginger tastes like crap, man. So good. Chase it down with one of these bad boys. Nice Suja. Scrimba is amazing, man. Am I afraid of COVID-19? No, I'm not afraid of COVID-19, but I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to have a healthier immune system. And I'm also not afraid of the flu or like anything else, but I also don't want to get the flu, you know? So, we're getting off topic here, man. The topic is that God, that ginger shot's spicy today, man. You're in my ES6 Scrimba course? Good, man. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the hyper, they call it the hyper modern JavaScript. It's the perfect course for me. Where am I from? Southern California originally. How good is your new job? I haven't started my new job. My new job starts tomorrow, but hence the topic that we keep avoiding in the last 4 minutes. Like, what's a reasonable expectation of your first week at work for a new job, you know? And I think a lot of times people have like unrealistic expectations of like, yo, day one, I'm gonna hop in, take over, baby. Like, a lot of times when you start a new job, it's a slow rollout, even if you want it not to be. I don't know what it's gonna be like. This is my expectation. A lot of paperwork, a lot of giving you some time to figure out your benefits, a lot of getting your environment set up and configured, and that's if there's something I hate more than anything of starting a new job, it's environment issues. Environment issues drive me insane. It's just one of those configuration engine. This is why I can't go into DevOps really. And I could have a misunderstanding of DevOps, but for my limited experience with messing around with deployments and all that sort of stuff, it's nothing but configuration. It's not like logic, and it's like when people ask me like, oh, should I learn Webpack? No, just know what it is and be able to work with it. Because like, what are you going to memorize every property in a Webpack config? No, of course not. And DevOps is like the Webpack config in my eyes, in my two different colored eyes. It looks so. This is actually my lighter eye. This is my darker eye, and it looks especially prominent because the light is on this side. Let me see. little less prominent. But but yeah, so good to see you back. Thanks, man. But yeah, so it's been typically you're gonna go in not really doing too much. It's always been like I usually get my first pull request in by the end of the week. That's usually it. Like the first 3-4 days is like just getting to know people, a lot of environment issues. Sometimes they'll have you review the code, all that sort of stuff. I am doing well, Milos. I'm working on it. Let me put that way. I'm doing better than I was a couple months ago. Yeah, and the larger my experience has been, the larger the organization is, the slower those things go. And considering, I think last I checked, Amazon is the second biggest company in the world. I imagine there'll be a lot of paperwork. Although there wasn't that much to get situated, so maybe not. Amazon's very like, if you've ever heard anything about it, they have this 2 pizza rule with teams. They're very streamlined in the sense of like they understand that as you grow, there are bottlenecks and like you have to fight against that. So maybe not. I don't know. So it'll be good. I wouldn't be surprised though either way. Let's see. Did I miss any questions? How was the exit interview of the previous job? It was fun, man. I just gave. So if you want my opinion on exit interviews, people are going to have different opinions on this. My opinion with exit interviews, not to dive into details with my previous employer or anything like that, is to get the questions ahead of time. I always ask for the questions ahead of time. And the reason for that is I want to be able to give them some carefully thought out advice. Like if they truly are looking for, hey, how can we avoid this in the future, or like what can we do to make you stay, sort of type stuff, then asking for the questions a couple days ahead of time so that you can think about it. Maybe just have to. It's not like I write out these long responses. Oftentimes they're very just cliff notey points. So like, oh, I want to make sure I talk about this. Oh, I want to make sure I talk about that, so that I can, give them the feedback that they want. And because I assume in that most organizations are genuine in HR to keep their talent, especially the ones that they like, right? And so I ask for them ahead of time, and I give honest feedback, respectfully, of course, respectfully. I think it's all about how you deliver it, also. But the traditional advice I would say is to just give very bland, non-specific stuff, because sometimes you might burn a bridge. But my sentiment is that if I can't be honest and like give constructive criticism, and they take it personally, then is that a place I'd ever really want to go back and work at? I don't think so, and I don't think I've worked at any place that's like that, and definitely not my previous employer. My previous employer, best employer I had up until to this point. So I have nothing but real nice things to say about them. But that's my stance on the exit interview, without going into specifics, just general exit interview stuff. Struggling because of lack of experience in backend, you'll get there, man. Just put time in. So your first job tomorrow too. Good luck, man. I am working in JavaScript. Do you have a bus license? No, I don't have a bus license. What makes you think I'd have a bus license? I also think it's important to give. I mean, I also think it's important to give honest feedback in your exit interviews, because there's so many people who are so afraid just to say anything remotely negative. Like, I'm not in there being like, if you, especially you. No, it's okay, Google, stop timer. But if they most of the time these are things that are already well known, but especially as you get to larger organizations, you have to sort of, I think, get a lot of you might have to get a couple things. So what if you already know they don't want to change anything and they ask for an exit interview? I mean, there are some things that I bring up that I know they're not going to be able to change. I had one exit interview where I talked about nepotism being an issue, knowing full well that, like, good luck with that. So, but I brought it up. No, I don't have a business license. I should probably get one pretty soon. You don't use Alexa gas? Not yet. I probably have to switch. Throw out all my Google stuff. This is pre. I gotta hop on the bandwagon now. Support the team. Be a team player. Bishop, do I think you should invest more time in front end versus back end? I mean, honestly, I think the grass is always going to look greener, and there's probably plenty of jobs in both. And you just see stuff, and you're like, damn it, I can't apply to that. My sentiment is usually try and do a mixture of front end and back end, sort of full stack. How many years of total job experience since your first job? Well, not counting my internship and not counting my technology trainer job, it's been about 4+ years. Hey, Code Breather. I like that name. That's a good name. That is a good name. Not sure if you heard, but a local company outsourced their entire IT staff and gave them 3 days to apply for their own jobs. No, I didn't. What's your new title? I think it's just front-end engineer. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look at my contract, but I think that's what it is. Your views on WebAssembly? I don't really have any. People have been asking me my views on WebAssembly for 2 years. You know what I've heard about WebAssembly? Nothing. So thanks, Fernando. Shout out to our Socalian brothers out there. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, man. I'm doing little renovations around the house. I got my patio getting screened in, getting the patio situated, little hot tub, little piece of furniture, all that sort of stuff. I don't have a bachelor's degree, Resco, but try and treat myself a little bit. Little lonely, but that's all right. I'll meet somebody eventually. On my Facebook profile, people took this way too. I was trying to be funny, but like, how, like, if you go to your Facebook profile, you can you can put a description. Like, you have your cover photo, they have a description. For a while, I had still figuring this part out, and then yesterday I was like, what am I about? And I was like, I know what it is, and I put this, and then I shared it, and people, my friend of mine, and then my stepmother. I was like, attempting to take over the coding world while simultaneously not trying to die alone. Smiley face. So like that basically, if you want a 1-sentence summary of what I'm about, that's kind of it. That's as close as I could get. It's like attempting to take over the coding world, trying not to die alone. Like, so I thought it was funny. That painting is dope. Thanks, man. Do I like Florida than California? Absolutely. Have I tried my hands at Rust? The only time I tried my hands at Rust was when I was interviewing for my first dev job, and they made us do it was algorithms in multiple programming languages, and one of them was Rust. I don't want to talk about the Amazon interview process. Sorry, man. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff out there. Hot tip of advice for those of you who want to put stuff out onto the internet: don't talk about your current and usually your previous employers about specifics. It's just not a good idea, even if it's nice things. Um, you know, Trinidad, huh? Into Bongo. What testing tools are most important as front end? Oh, a good unit testing framework would be good. Jest seems pretty popular nowadays. If you want to do maybe end-to-end or functional testing, Cypress would be perfect as well. What would you recommend learning? Would you recommend learning iOS over web dev in 2021? I wouldn't recommend learning anything over web dev in 2021. Just the jobs and the salaries support that being the best path. I would recommend you learn what you're interested in, though. Dylan, don't you need a license to do freelance work? No. Does a person need to face loneliness if he wants to be a great software engineer like you? God, I was talking to Ricky about this exact subject regarding coding YouTubers, and I said, like, why is it so many of us seem like there's something? Is it that we're software engineers that are always trying to get better and we put our relationships on hold? Is it that we're YouTubers and we look for external validation? Right? Like, is that what it is? Um, I don't know, man. But no, I don't know, man. I think at the end of the day, if at the end of the day, to be really great at anything, you have to make sacrifices. Whether it's software, whether it's sports, whatever it is, and sometimes you take that time, effort, and energy away from those closest to you because you take for granted that they'll always be there, and sometimes you push them away and then you end up alone. And like, it's it's just one of those things, man. But no, I don't think it's necessarily exclusive. Um, but I do think it's easier. Like, it's easier for me to study and work all the time because I don't have a wife and kids, because those would trump that. Like, I have other responsibilities. You know what my responsibilities are? Just go to work, do a good job, make sure these dogs stay alive. That's that's it. That's a whole lot different than having a significant other, um, raising children properly. Node or PHP? Node. Should we still apply to jobs today that require a bachelor's degree? I mean, I do. I have. I think all the jobs I've interviewed for, I don't think either said required or preferred. How important is you feel keeping up networking on LinkedIn nowadays? I think it's great. Honestly, I think LinkedIn is a fantastic platform. So I got my current job. I start tomorrow. Recruiter reached out to me over LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn, I don't know what you're doing, man. I really don't. A day as a front end dev. I mean, a day as a developer has been pretty similar to every organization I've worked at. You're into Scrum or Agile. You're going to have your stand up in the morning or at some point in the day, usually earlier in the day. You're going to have a ticket. You're going to work on the ticket. If you have any questions, you're going to go and talk to the business analyst. If you have any issues with the code, maybe you pair program with a colleague. You're going to write code. You're going to do all your typical agile stuff, whether it's the stand up, the sprint planning, the retrospective, the grooming sessions. You're going to have a bunch of other random meetings that you don't need to be at about half the time. But they want you there. So you might be working in the background. That's probably one of the great things about working remote also, is that when you get invited to these meetings that normally you have, I don't say you don't need to be there, but you have little to contribute. Let's say it's an hour-long meeting and you have maybe a 5-minute part that concerns you, or that maybe you have to answer a question. When you do it remote, you can sort of throw it up on one monitor and go and work on what you actually need to work on. Although at the same time, if you're there in person, you kind of can just chill your brain for a second. So got off the call with my girlfriend to watch this live stream. Code Breeze is about to, his ass gonna be. Listen, man. There's more important things than code. I'll tell you, man. That's a serious looking chair behind me. It's just one massage chair. It's all right. Yeah. Congratulations. Thank you, man. Do I play any kind of musical instruments? Nope. I have no musical or artistic ability in the slightest. Get a ticket? They're like features, like, hey, it's like build a feature for the web app. Sometimes it could be bug tickets, though. Does imposter syndrome ever go away? Eric and I were talking about this in our podcast episode we recorded yesterday, where people overuse the term imposter syndrome to describe stress and anxiety. And how you handle your stress and anxiety can definitely go away. Not go away, but lessen over time and not as frequent. What's the most significant decision you made in your dev career? I suppose to go to Amazon. Fantastic opportunity financially, fantastic opportunity growth-wise, career-wise. I haven't started yet, but I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be the most, just taking that interview last minute. You know, I think that's probably it. Yes, I will be. With the TypeScripts. Would I recruit a person that lacks social skills but are good at doing a job? It's all about the extremes. Like, how lacking are they? Tips and tricks for the first ones in your job. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think sometimes people are so, especially working remote, people are so afraid to like ask for help. I've had this issue with consultants as well, where like you have contractors on the team where they wait too long to ask for help, and then they spend a month on a ticket that should have been 2-3 days tops. So how much was the chair? I think it was like 800. It's one of the low end massage chairs. Honestly, one day I'll probably go and spend a good like 5x that, because I've had a work that had. So my first dev job, they went and spent like $7,000 on like a real massage chair, like legit, and like, don't get me wrong, I use this thing all the time, but like it does, like a $700-800 massage chair doesn't compare to a $5,000 to $10,000 massage chair. No comparison, right? But like, it's like my little 2015. Oh, my work chair. This It's okay. I usually like the high back ones with the leather arms, but I kind of like this because the dogs can do it. I've been thinking about getting an upgraded one. This is the Amazon basic one. I would probably get the leather arms ones. I just haven't got around to it again. This has been kind of nice change of pace too. Herman Miller and body. Let me see what this is. Yeah, I've had some of these similar things. Yeah, I mean, learning code is sort of a Dark Souls grind. I'm glad it. The thing that you have to realize about when trying to teach people something is that it's all about being able to relate it. If you can relate the information to something they understand and they can make that connection, it's a lot easier for it to stop being words and actually be a concept. Have I done anything fun? Well, I went on a date yesterday, and that went well. That was fun. Um, what else? Not really. I mean, this last week's been kind of stressful, just wrapping up work and start my new job tomorrow. And, you know, what's your current view on Lambda School since you know someone who personally did it? I don't really have a current view on Lambda School. I haven't been following anything about Lambda School. I swear for a while I would see Lambda School everywhere here, this and that, but I haven't heard too much about them. But I haven't looked into it. What action decision choice has been most incremental to your career growth? Um, Probably job hopping, and I don't mean like, oh, I just left. Um, but like job hopping from my first job to my second job. Okay, so here's okay. Specifically, leaving my first job to go to my second job. So I got an offer. So I was making 67,000 at my first job at that point in time, a year, and I got offer for 90, and I got offer for 75. But I took the offer at 75, which was what a $8,000 raise versus the $23,000 raise. So significantly difference, right? Almost tripled the raise. So I took the lower offer at a worse company rather than the financial company. And the reason for it was that at the end of the day, I felt like I was going to be a better developer and make that money up because I liked the tech lead that was there. And it worked out really well. He gave me the direction I needed. I had the energy and the time and effort to go and run full sprint for years at a time. I just needed to know where I needed to go. And he was instrumental in that by just pointing me in a direction. And so that was probably the best decision I made. It was the harder decision, especially someone so money motivated, but it was definitely the best decision. Did I see myself launching a startup one day? No. What do I want to launch? Anything I'm gonna launch isn't gonna be a startup. I might launch a UI library. I've already built like 50 components in my Angular course. Um, I started making it into an npm package. Are standing desks worth it? I think so. I did not catch the Ferguson fight. I did hear that Ferguson lost though, which was surprising. How old am I? I'm 33. No, not really, Kevin. They told me, I just don't remember. It's gonna be some sort of JavaScript stack. I'll be doing front end in one of the front end frameworks. Any recommendation? Probably your best bet's to pick up React as a front end framework. My advice if you're looking for an internship is also just consider junior level roles. How's the stock they give you tax? I have no idea. I imagine it's very similar to capital gains tax. That's what my gut, but I haven't looked into it. What's my go-to website to learn something? YouTube. I watch a 1-hour tutorial on something, like a crash course, and I go and build something. Although occasionally I might just go and straight up do a Udemy course. Have I considered doing the digital nomad thing? Yeah, man. I've been to Europe once. I actually want to do a long trip there. Once I start dating somebody, probably take a 1 or 2 months trip down the road. I don't know, Bishop, man. Thank you, Leon. What age should I start programming? Probably about 25. And that's just because I went maybe 26. Because I started working on my CS degree at that time. The biggest struggle when trying to learn programming, just consistency, making sure that I practiced and practiced. Probably understanding how to problem solve data like basic algorithms was really hard at first. That was the hardest thing for me. It's just being able to start figuring out all the things. Code Signal was the site I used to study algorithms. A clothes guider? I don't need someone to dress me. I'm grown, dude. And like, I don't go out in StarCraft t-shirts. Okay. I have a little bit more sense than that. My son wants to go to a boot camp. Any recommendations? I haven't been staying up to date with the boot camp space, so just find something that has good reviews. Was I nervous moving across country for the dev job? Absolutely. Who wouldn't be nervous moving across country for a dev job? Did I let it stop me? No. I think I'm doing something wrong with my dating profiles. Because, like, usually if I go on dates, they go really well. It's the getting the dates. Do you really gain much practical knowledge with algorithms and data structures when it comes to front-end dev? Well, you have to understand the generic structure of data structure, or not the generic, the more generic types of data structures in depth, like objects and arrays. Definitely want to understand rather well. The next thing is that it's rare that I truly in the front end have to start thinking about some traditional algorithms because of optimization stuff. That's really, I mean, the whole reason you need data. So the whole reason that you get tested on data structures and algorithms is for optimization. You're either optimizing for space or you're optimizing for time, right? And so for me, if I need to optimize for space and time in the if I need to optimize for space and time in the for the front end, probably something went wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't optimize, but will it help? Yeah, sure. Is it something that's going to happen every day? No. There's other things that are much more practical, but that doesn't mean that they're not as important, or not important, but maybe not as important. How long did I study data structures and algorithms? I mean, I've studied a couple times here or there, but really just the 3 weeks in between the first interview and the last one. If I become a billionaire, would you stop working as a software engineer? Absolutely, I'd stop working as a software engineer. If you had unlimited resources, would you keep working to have more resources? No, I'm good, dog. Maybe then I would start a startup, though. The only thing I would probably change about the path I took is I'd be more willing to have paid money for courses on Udemy. I was just so broke that every dollar mattered, so I didn't spend a dime on courses when I was learning to code. I used nothing but free resources. Would I ever invest in rental properties? Absolutely. I actually have a plan to by the end of this year. So I'm stockpiling some money. My brother's going to graduate from his nursing program, and we're going to go in on some properties together that he's going to manage, and I'll just sort of be the money so that he can get up and running, and he can sort of kickstart his what do you call it finances, and I can help, my own finances as well. Would I rather be able to fly or teleport? What do I need to fly for if I can teleport? Let's teleport up into the sky and back down to the land if I want. How are you, man? How have you handled burned out? I'm all right, man. I'm much better than I was a couple months back. I don't want to talk too much about the stack that I'm working in my new work, but it's not going to be Angular. At least I don't remember that being the case. I have watched Silicon Valley. I haven't watched it recently. I watched like the first 2 or 3 seasons. Dude, I'd love to guest on it though. I think it'd be kind of funny. Are you still coding God? I'm trying, man. Coding God is a state of being. How often do you take caffeine breaks? Whenever they're needed. How did you reach the point of burnout? So I basically worked every day for 4 years, maybe 5, depending on when we started. When it's hard to say at what point you sort of hit the oh I'm stressed to like oh I'm burnt out to oh I'm broken. Um, so um, so I worked every day for about 4 years, and I ignored my relationship quite a bit, and that became April at the time was always my like rock. April was, you know, I would have sacrificed anything in this world to be successful, but not April. But that ended up being what happened. So April was like the foundation that I could always go back to. Uh, so she left, and then instead of dealing with that scenario, I instead did what I definitely shouldn't have done, which is I tried to power through. I worked and I worked and I worked and I put my head down and I just worked and I worked, and I met somebody. I met a girl, Olivia, who's we don't really talk, but I have no ill will towards her, and I don't think she has any towards me. I actually care for her quite deeply, to be honest with you. But that went very fast, very quickly. Mainly because I think I was mainly just because that's probably where we both were at in life. But that was very intense, and I was sort of an emotional roller coaster, I think. And so that ended, and it was at that point that I sort of realized I was broken. So it was it's kind of sad too when I think about it, because like I'm not 100% by any means, but I'm definitely doing much better. But like I think about that quite a bit of like I wish we could have dated where I wasn't in the midst of a mental breakdown. Let me put it that way. Like she's a you know what I mean? Like let's give her the best Dylan has to offer, not the emotionally crippled and mental health issued Dylan, or at least as many mental health issues. So you never know. Maybe down the road. Not really. I don't I I don't even. So to stop because I have no self control, to stop myself from texting her, I took her phone number out of my phone. And it's not like I don't want to talk to her. It's not like I wouldn't take her call. It's the fact that I want to talk to her and that I want to call her on occasion. And like I just know I shouldn't. Just gotta let it go. Like Frozen, man. That's what, that's what Frozen is. I gotta let it go. But yeah, so that's how I burnt out. Uh, I think I'm still a little burnt out, but I'm burnt out. Like before, I was just broken. Like that's the thing I think a lot of us have to realize is that like burnout's sort of a natural occurrence, and it's what you do with it, right? So like for me, I think I think there's healthy level amounts of burnout, and do you go and you keep pushing, and if so, for how long? And I just pushed for too long, and then I broke. So it is what it is. So what else we got here? You should try EU girls. Just change race. How am I gonna date someone that's 5,000 miles away? I think all women are beautiful, or have all races and ethnicities. So I would date someone from Europe, but like I need to see somebody to date someone. I was I went on some dates with this girl, and we just started saying hello again, and she tells me she can only hang out on the weekends, basically. It's all right. So I guess we're not going to get to know each other because it's like, listen, if I'm going to see you one day a week, we're never going to get anywhere. Like, I get being busy. I'm busy. I've like, so I'm only available on the weekends, so okay. So I guess I guess we're just not going to see each other. So like, I don't know, man. It's Have I ever had a bad date? Yeah, of course I've had a bad date. I went on a date like 2-3 months ago with a girl who had been crying and or looked to be crying, and I asked her if everything was okay, and she's like, full transparency, I just broke up with my fiance 3 days ago, and I'm moving into my new apartment, and I was like, what are you doing here? Like, like, listen, I understand wanting to jump back in. I did that. I made that mistake, but like, she's a sweet girl, nice girl. We had a pizza, a beer. I sort of listened for about 2 hours and 3 days, dog. 3 days in the midst of moving into a new apartment. Yeah, so sweet girl, nice girl. I mean, I would have been friends with this girl. I wouldn't have dated her, but she liked to play darts and worked in social media. Um, but like, it was just so I sat there, I listened, I talked, I I engaged. It was fascinating. It was a bad date, but it was fascinating. And we had beer and pizza, and you know, I texted her something because like 3 weeks later because I wanted to ask her some social media. She never responded, and I was like, okay, I'll delete the number. Um, but that's the last. That's the most recent bad date that comes to mind. My back's okay. I'm a Windows user. Dream car. I'm not a big car guy. I've been thinking about buying a Tesla recently. Um, but that's really just for the autopilot. Um, Eventually, I'll buy a nice car. I think when I relocate to Seattle, I'll buy a Tesla. Until then, I'll just keep using my car. Well, hello, Sky. Dating apps. So, all right. Here's the thing. If I don't use dating apps, what am I going to use? I work remotely. I am in a place I did not grow up, and I have friends. They're all software engineers. They're either married or they're the type of dev that doesn't really go out. What type of question is that? Are you rich? What do you do? Like, truly. What am I going to name my first kid? I don't know, man. Sounds like excuses. I don't know, man. The idea of just like being in a grocery store and hitting on somebody or like showing interest just seems terrifying. Yeah, I meditate on occasion, so I mean, honestly, as far as Yeah, still doing the Ring Fit adventure. But yeah, I use the Head First app on occasion when I meditate. I don't do it as much as I used to. When April first left, I did it every day for like 3 months. I needed something, man. I was, God, that was a rough time. Angler is a nice name. I'll name once my son type, my daughter script. Hey, I'm looking to moving into a new dev role that pays higher after 3 months of my first role. Do you think I'm moving too fast? Hey, if you can do it, do it. Do I think dating a woman would be easier if you dated, or dating a woman who was a dev would be easier? I don't know if it'd be easier, but we'd have stuff in common. I personally love talking about software, but I don't do it with my dates because they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. Like, here's the thing. Here's the thing is like, if I go speak at a like here there's a difference between being supportive and then like wanting to have a conversation every day about software. Like if I go and speak at a conference for an hour, it'd mean a lot to me. It'd mean a lot to me that like my significant other, if I asked them to go and like see me in my element, see me and go do that they'd be front row excited. Like that's support, right? They can deal with it an hour. Now to ask them to deal with an hour of dev talk that they don't, it's not even so much they don't care, it's that it's beyond their ability to comprehend, right? And it's not like they're dumb or whatnot, it's not their expertise. So I don't talk about it because I can see people's eyes glaze over and I can keep going and going and going. Have I ever actually used Pad Starter? And no, I haven't used it. Have you ever tried hiking? Yeah, I got hiking. I went hiking once back when I was in California. This is how April and I got back together, by the way. This is sort of an awful story. Uh, so I went hiking. I went hiking with some friends to these hot springs, and we went off the beaten path. And we got to the hot springs. We're like, let's take a shortcut. Then we got lost, and April and I were broken up, and she brought this dude who was like 6 inches shorter than her, and like this, it cracked me up for some reason, and she was trying to make me jealous and all this sort of stuff, right? And so she brings this child, she brings this baseball player, dude, and we get lost. There's like maybe 10 of us. We get lost and the sun's going down. It's freezing, right? We went to go into the hot springs. All of us were wet at one point, and it's like we're using our cell phones for lights. And finally we get to a road where, and we're off I'm like literally the mountains are slanted like this, right? The mountains are slanted like this, and if you trip you're gonna fall to your death because it's nothing but rocks and everything. Everything like that. And um so we're there, right? And I'm with my brother, and my brother's getting pissed off because I ate all the trail mix. Because I was starving. I was starving. And I ate all the trail mix with no shame, dude. And so we finally get to the road, and I'm freezing and whatnot, and someone in a Jeep, I drove, and or April drove, and we finally get to the road, and April's like sitting on my lap, and because we're trying to get in this, someone gives us a ride to where our cars are, and there's rangers there, and it was one of those moments where, like, all the bullshit aside, I was like, I love this girl. And I kissed her, and it's just sort of one of those things. And that's how April and I got back together, by almost getting lost in the mountains and freezing our asses off and walking across these hills, and like our feet were blistered, and like it was just one of those things where, but it's something I'll never forget. It's so miserable. It's so miserable. Let's take the shortcut, idiots, idiots. Like, oh man, what I talk about in dates, career goals and um, you know, stuff. It's hard, honest to God, because I don't do a lot of like basic stuff. Like, I don't watch a lot of Netflix. I don't. It's stuff I do watch. So like, and there's not too many like gamer anime girls I come across and stuff like that. So like, usually it's when we hang out, I'll do whatever they want to do because I'm pretty neutral. My body is thin, but my head is the same. That doesn't seem very nice. Um, uh, um, I remember what you said, Master of the Mash. Like, about what I'll never forget. Like, hey man, I can't date any girl who would date me because I'm too jacked up. She got problems. Oh man. Uh yeah, man. I think that's what confuses me most about that ending is like, how am I feeling life? Yeah, life is good, Spencer. I mean, it could be better, but I mean, I have lots of complaints, but I'm not gonna air them out right now. Like, April and I went through hell together, man. Like, yeah, we went through hell together. So my microphone turns off after about 25 minutes and no audio coming in it, even if the mic's on. Stupid software. I think it's to save battery. But yeah, April and I went through hell together. Like, from sleeping on floors to that to coming across country to like, we didn't spend that much time together because I was working all the time, and like we finally got to a point where like we had everything. Like there's no need, and I think she just never thought that day was coming. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But yeah, there's definitely some trauma bondage right there. Those negative moments. I was also very miserable to be around for a lot of the years that we were dating. Could I modify the software of the headphones? I'm sure I could. If I had access to source code, it wouldn't be that hard to figure it out. Yeah, man, it's yeah, man, it is what it is. Well, we did it again, y'all. We reached the end of the live stream, and one day we'll get through one of these things without talking about my dating life. Um, maybe not. Maybe this is just our thing. Maybe I should. Maybe I should start. Maybe I should start a secondary live stream channel where we just talk about my dating life. You know, I started. No, 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 no. I don't think I started it. I don't think I ever started. So anyhow, man, the book I'm reading right now is that I need to finish up. Is The Pragmatic Programmer. We love to hear about your dating life. Listen, there's no vicariously living through me. Am I super OCD on responsive design, looking at every nook and cranny? Um, I mean, how's the response? You super responsive. You drag it left to right, just make the screen smaller. It's not that. You know what I mean? Like, what? Nook and cranny. Come on, man. Ask me dating. Yeah. Here on Ask Me Dating, we tell you about all the ways I am unsuccessful in my dating life. With that information, you can go and do the complete opposite and be very happy and have fulfilled marriages and relationships. Because here at Ask Me Dating, we don't. All right, like what am I? Oh man, what am I? What advice could I possibly give you? Do you see anybody here with me? Like, what dating advice could I give you? Um, I got nothing, man. I mean, I just tell you how my life's going. Um, all right, guys. We did another live stream. It's been fun. It's been real. I gotta go update my LinkedIn. All that stuff. Get some stuff done around the house. I'll see you next time. Bye.